Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are kicking off a three-part series on something that affects economies, fortunes, and even your daily tea and coffee prices, the United States stock market. Now, in this first episode, we are going to go back in time to see how it all started, the origins, the big crashes, and the moments that have shaped the modern market. Part 2 will focus on the last 2 decades, the explosive rise of tech stocks, the rise of new age firms, and some major shifts in market behavior. And part 3, well, that's where I'll break down the post COVID era, the Tina propaganda, US exceptionalism, AI driven valuations, and why the United States stock market commands such a premium over others. So, let's get started with part 1, the history of the US stock market. Grab your coffee or tea, maybe even a stress ball, because trust me, there were some wild moments. Let's get right into it. Alright, picture this. It's the late 1700s, and New York is the place to be for trade and business. But instead of Wall Street being a hub of glass skyscrapers and digital trading screens, it was more, well, a hangout spot. A bunch of merchants, bankers, and traders gathered under a buttonwood tree. Yes, an actual tree, on Wall Street to make deals. Then, in 1792, they decided to make things official and signed what's called the Buttonwood Agreement. This was basically the bro code of early stock trading, laying the foundation of what would become the New York Stock Exchange or NYSE. Fun fact, the first shares ever traded included companies that ran banks, insurance firms, and even, wait for it, the first American brewery. Priorities, right? Fast forward to the 1800s. The New York Stock Exchange is growing, and suddenly it's not about buying and selling random company shares. People needed a way to measure how the market was doing overall. Enter Charles Dow, a journalist who co founded the Wall Street Journal. In 1885, he started tracking the performance of 12 big companies, mostly railroads, and published this info in his paper. This became the Dow Jones Industrial Average (DJIA), which is still a major stock market index today. Think of it like a financial mood ring. It tells you whether investors are feeling optimistic or about to jump ship. Now, we can't talk about stock market history without mentioning 1929. Cue the dramatic music. The roaring 20s were time of party, jazz, and yep, crazy stock speculation. People were buying stocks with borrowed money, thinking prices would just keep going up. Spoiler alert, they didn't. On October 29th, 1929, better known as the Black Tuesday, the stock market collapsed. Within days, billions of dollars vanished, banks failed, and the Great Depression followed. It was like the ultimate financial hangover. To prevent future chaos, the US government created the Securities and Exchange Commission in 1934. Their job? Well, to keep an eye on Wall Street shenanigans and make sure history does not repeat itself. Alright, now let's talk about another big player in the stock market world, the S&P 500. Unlike Dow, which tracks just 30 companies, the S&P 500 looks at 500 of the largest and biggest companies in the United States. It's a broader measure of how the economy is doing and is often seen as a more accurate snapshot of the economy. It launched in 1957, and since then, it's been the go-to index for investors who want a big picture view. If the S&P is up, people are making money. If it's down, well, let's just say Netflix and comfort food sales would probably go up. By the 1970s, Wall Street was still dominated by the NYSE. But then something game changing happened. The NASDAQ was born. Unlike the traditional stock exchange, NASDAQ was the first electronic stock market. No shouting traders, paper slips, just digital trading. It became the go-to platform for tech companies. And by the early 90s, we saw giants like Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon take off. But with every boom comes a bust. And in the early 2000s, the dot-com bubble burst. Stocks crashed, companies folded, and suddenly investing in the internet did not seem like such a great idea. Sounds familiar? Well, fast forward to 2008, and the stock market had another major meltdown. This time, it wasn't just reckless stock speculation, it was bad mortgages, risky loans, and banks playing fast and loose with money that they didn't even actually have. When Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest investment banks, collapsed, the entire financial system nearly crumbled. The Dow dropped 777 points in a single day, the largest point drop in history at that time. People lost homes, jobs, and even faith in the financial system. The government had to step in with massive bailouts, and new regulations were put in place to hopefully prevent another crisis like this. But let's be real, the market always finds ways to keep us on edge. So, what can we learn from all of this? A few things. The stock market is unpredictable. No matter how smart you are, there's always an element of risk. Booms and busts are part of the game. Every crash in history has eventually led to recovery. Knowledge is power. The more you understand history, the better prepared you are to handle the ups and the downs. And this is just the beginning. In the next episode, I'll talk about the massive shifts in stock market over the last 2 decades, tech giants taking over, meme stocks, and the rise of digital trading platforms. You won't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button and subscribe for part 2. Got any questions or thoughts? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear them from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.